Do I look bored right now? Because I'm not bored at all. Are you bored with space? Do you find space boring? Do you think space is fake? Please leave a comment if you think space is fake. If you think space is fake, get some binoculars and a solar filter today. You'll stop thinking space is fake. Anyway, we're starting out. We're looking at the SDO images here of the sun at 171 angstroms. And by the way, we're going to be doing a lot of SDO images because there's going to be some anomalies, to say the least, coming in just a couple hours. We're not going to cover it live. We're going to be covering it right after it's complete, actually. The transit of Mercury. Anyway, here's the southern portion of your local yellow dwarf at 171 angstroms. And let's also take a look at the 304 angstroms view as we see mad filaments. Mad filaments, yo. Now, this is 9 hours of activity just from today. The date, 11/11. The date of the Mercury transit. The last one is in 2003, I believe. And there's those major filaments going on down there in the southwest as solar activity picks up. Now, the X-ray flux hasn't really picked up. It's still flatlined. Here's the X-ray imager. And by the way, one of the ways to watch the Mercury transit today is via the solar visible light imager there on the Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard. But the SDO will provide some very nice images, as well as SOHO and umpteen ground-based telescopes. Everybody and their flat Earth cousin are going to be viewing the Mercury transit today. Interesting timing. There is a coronal hole wind stream hitting right at the same moment. As we see looks like the solar wind speed and velocity are kicking up at the same time. Anyway, we see a wild shift in the phi angle coming in the past 2 hours, as well as major shifts in the BTBZ. Current solar wind density at 6.67. Current solar wind speed, 366 kilometers a second. Let's go take a quick view from the Stereo A coronagraph, which is located on page 7, by the way, of the Integrated Space Weather Analysis Center. And for some reason, this thing ain't loading. Let's try again. Perhaps they've changed the links or something like that. All right, there we go. There's the coronagraph. Just bring up a full view here. By the way, that's 100 frames at 20 frames per second. On this particular instrument is the full view. And coronal mass ejection watch is clear. No coronal mass ejections whatsoever. And please leave a comment if you were hoping to see Mercury get hit by plasma. Anyway, there's the ACE data, looking similar to Discover. And the geospace magnetosphere movies, I'm just going to speed it up, as we don't really see anything too crazy here. There you see the last 4 hours of that. I better let it play through. We'll get complaints. Anyway, there's a coronal mass, a coronal wind stream, coronal hole wind stream hitting right now, as we get a little bit of an uptick in protons and a little downtick in electrons. We see the relativistic electrons very low. We'll cover it in a moment. First, we're going to look at the ground geospace magnetic perturbations here, courtesy University of Michigan, a geospace model. And we see some current induced into the planet as the protons arrive at the magnetosphere. Those coronal hole wind stream protons is what we're talking about. And please leave a comment. Let us know what you're going to do. Are you going to watch the transit of Mercury? Do you have a telescope with a solar filter? What's up? 10.7 centimeter radio flux, by the way, is up to 71. Just at the top reaches of the orange line we've drawn in here at 70 solar flux units. Magnetometer is looking spiky as forecasted, and we're there's still a bit of a magnetic tug of war going on. Here's the view from the ecliptic plane from the Gong 2 data. Now this is gathered from about 50 magnetometers on Earth, as well as on stereo B out here where my pointer is, and stereo A out here. And you can see that the magnetic environment is kind of undecided, and that's caused by similar power coming from both poles. In other words, both the North and the South Pole are very close to being the dominant charge of the current sheet, and that's why you see those spikes. It's not just because of the plasma, it's also because of the magnetism. Anyway, now you could say that the magnetism is induced by the plasma, but there are a lot of chicken and egg discussions that happen in science where we certainly don't know which came first. Anyway, there's the last frame. This data 1 hour 49 minutes old. KP has just jumped up to 2, as again we just saw that small uptick. We're not going to look at cosmic rays today in depth. If you want to look at them yourself, the links to this site are in the description below the video. GOES electron flux is cratering, and we're going to watch this dip way down to very, very low levels throughout the day, probably today, which is probably a good thing, as we'll have great satellite communications. There are the relativistic electrons. Those are very low as well, at least in terms of where they've been in the past several weeks. In fact, we see the lowest reading we've seen since back in June. Here's the ionosphere map. We're looking at 6 hours of the ionosphere here, and this is Australian Government Bureau of Meteorology. And here's the latest image. This one coming in at 9 o'clock UT. It's looking pretty charged up, actually. Let's do the earthquake rundown as quickly as possible. We didn't see any major quakes. Let's do everything 4+ magnitude. Here's a 4.5 of Papua New Guinea, followed by a 4.6 of Colombia. This one coming in at 9:50 UT yesterday on 11:10. That one at depth heads up northern South America, heads up northern and western South America for a larger quake as the 7 magnitude earthquake drop continues. Here's a 5.1 of Japan. Here's a 4.4 of Japan. That one at depth. Here's a 5.2 in the Scotia Sea, right near Antarctica, very far south location for a quake there. How about a 5.3 at Peru? That one's also at depth. 4.9 at Tonga. That one coming in at 20:35 last night. So kind of a lull in earthquakes here, really, folks, especially 7+ magnitude. Here's a 4.0 at Iran as Middle Eastern quakes continue, adding insult to injury there. 4.3 at Chile. 4.6 at Tonga, coming in at 5:08 this morning, followed by a 4.4 in the Philippines. That one at 5:11, about 4 hours before we created this video. Next, we'll look at the pressure maps, courtesy windy.com, as quickly as possible, as there's plenty of stuff to cover yet. Now, yesterday we were on the Electric View, by the way, so check that out, the Electric View by Neil Thompson. Shout out to Neil Thompson and crew. Another great conversation about things electric in the universe. Trying to learn people's names over there. I'm terrible with names. There's where pressure will be tomorrow around this time. Now, let me ask you, did you know that there are a bunch of volcanoes going off? Well, let's do the list, starting with Askja in central Iceland. Although it's not really erupting, it's just a bunch of small quakes happening over the past 5 days. Apparent magmatic activity. They're stating that it most often does not lead to an eruption. As we know, Icelandic volcanoes can disrupt air traffic big time. Sanjiang Api producing a 10,000-foot ash plume as it explodes. Mount Takono exploding also. 6,000-foot plume there. Shishaldin, no significant emissions. It looks like Shishaldin has chilled out there in the Aleutian Islands. Although, a new eruptive phase is in progress at Cleveland. Not Cleveland, Ohio, folks. Cleveland in the Aleutian Islands. Anyway, that's been lifted to an orange alert level. Also, Popocatépetl exploding down there near Mexico City, producing a 20,000-foot ash plume. Remind me not to go on vacation to Mexico City, or any place in Mexico for that matter. How about Sangay producing a 21,000-foot ash plume as it explodes. Revenador exploding, 18,000-foot plume there. And Nevada State Chile. No identifiable ash image in the satellite image. Let's talk about Mercury stats. Now, Mercury is about a little over 1/3 of the distance from the Earth to the Sun at 0.387 astronomical units, an astronomical unit being the distance from Earth to the Sun. Again, the reason that these transits happen is because of the planar differences in the plane of Earth's orbit versus Mercury's. There's a 7-degree difference in those planes, and that is the reason why you only get a transit occasionally, because the transit only occurs when those planes cross. Because as everybody knows, Mercury orbits much faster, taking only 0.24 Earth years, or 58.65 days. I'm sorry, a day is 58.65 days, and a year is 0.24 years. So only a couple of months there. And yeah, the average surface temperature is 440 Kelvin, as the daytime side ranges from 800 degrees Fahrenheit down to the nighttime side at negative 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Here's an image of, let me move myself out of the way here, an image by Giuseppe Donatiello of Venus versus Mercury. And there you can see the size difference, Venus versus Mercury, while it does a solar transit. So this is what you can expect to see today. You're going to see images of it all over the place, as well as on our channel later this afternoon. So look for that. Here's the timeline, folks. Check out timeanddate.com. There's a link to this right on their homepage, timeanddate.com. And here is the... Oh, never mind. Just go to timeanddate.com. You can link to it there. We also left links to this Universe Today article. We've had it up for about 5 days now. Their guide to the transit. Here's the path it's going to take, shown by the green line there. Crossing right over the ecliptic, which is fantastic. We'll have great views of this. There'll be 10 trillion telescopes pointed at this thing. And yeah, here's a YouTube video about the instructions on how to make yourself a simple binocular solar filter using your eclipse glasses that perhaps you purchased for that eclipse, so check that out. Here's another one on space.com, how and where to see it. Here's where stuff is in the solar system. As Mercury blows by and blows our doors off, here's where things will be in 1 week. And here's where stuff is above my head. Check out in-the-sky.org. I'm not paid to say that, by the way. But they got a great sky map, so check it out. The moon's just setting where I am. Here's the lightning map. We're not going to dwell on that. Here's a U.S. Doppler radar. Is it animated? I don't know. Let's play animation. As snow continues to fall all over the central U.S., please remind me this afternoon to put up a visible satellite image so you can see how much snow is all over the country. Are you familiar with cold? Well, here's how cold it is now. Check out those temperature anomalies. And yes, I know there are some 6 Celsius above, but check this out. By tomorrow at 12 Zulu, even the Gulf of Mexico is going to be extremely cold. You're looking at 16 degrees Celsius below normal. And then we get these insane cold pulses where I'm located. Ouch. Looking chilly in Pennsylvania. Moving on to the water vapor map. And here's a U.S. water vapor animation, courtesy of the NASA GOES interactive weather satellites. I believe we have links to this also if you want to look at this yourself. As the jet stream is pushing and shoving its way down, way down. Check out the rapid dryification out there by Idaho. There it is. Check it out. It's have you had your protons today? And here's a quick glance at the jet streams. We see some extreme meridional jet stream flow there. We're going to have some hot and cold air mixing going on in the North Atlantic, as it's very concentrated in that area. Here are the eastern jets. We like to center this on India. And if you're wondering what's in the coffee, it's coconut oil, organic coffee, as coffee is the most heavily pesticided plant on earth, coconut oil, cocoa powder, cayenne pepper, cinnamon, and a splash of milk for instant temperature-based drinkability. Please press like and subscribe on YouTube if you enjoy the content. Have you checked out Electric View? Check out Electric View. There was another great conversation there. Shout out to Tess and crew. So check that video out. Tess Clark and our electric history. And also thanks patrons, associate producers of these shows. Please check out that. Also, if you're not a Patreon yet, check out patreon.com/smAshomash. There's a $1 tier. We decided to keep it. We were going to get rid of it on Halloween. But I decided that even though the math favored getting rid of the $1 tier, we decided to keep it, as those $1 members still do get some very, very limited benefit. So thanks to everybody on Patreon. Welcome to the That Is Censored and That Is a Sinkhole, the part where we hope that our viewers are able to distinguish between their and a hole in the ground. Before we get to that, do you follow us on Instagram? Thanks to our new 10 Instagram people, we're going to have to start putting up more content there, and we shall, as the winter starts to get cold, cold, cold. Fortunately, I love it. I love the cold, so I'll be outside frolicking wearing no shirt. How about bitshoot.com/smAshomash? All of our videos go up there. Shout out smAsho staff for all your hard work. smAsho staff, putting up with my behavior on a regs. We're also on Minds.com, a great alternative to Facebook, the social media that won't censor you. Check it out. We recently made it over 500,000 views there, as our subscribership has completely stagnated at 702 for an extended period of time. It's all going to look up this winter, folks. We're also on gab.com/smAshomash, the alternative to Twitter, where I imagine you won't get censored, but don't quote me on that. That one's not vetted. We're going to start using it. Let's talk about brown adipose tissue. Now, there are a lot of people out there, fitness freaks, who are trying to grow brown adipose tissue on purpose. This website is not vetted by me, but I just wanted to give you a little intro to brown adipose tissue. This is a kind of fat that grows around certain portions of babies primarily, and this kind of burns off after you're, like, literally burns off after you're born. And this is some sort of a some sort of evolutionary defense mechanism type of a thing. Here's an image of the difference between white adipose and brown adipose tissue. And there are ways that you can increase your amount of brown adipose tissue, essentially with cryogenic maneuvers. In other words, well, we're not going to get super in-depth into it, but again, this website's not vetted here. I just wanted to get a little bit of information about brown adipose tissue. It is a performance-enhancing substance, and what it does is it has very high thermal output, and if you're able to create more brown adipose tissue, you'll have certain skills, especially as an endurance athlete, that you may not otherwise have. Let's just say that. Also, I wanted to briefly tell our viewers about amino acids. As we've covered amino acids multiple times on the channel, talked about things like L-lysine, arginine, L-glutamine, and so on. There are a lot of folks out there that believe that there is a way to treat certain ailments that I will not mention by name via the use of amino acids and the reduction of certain amino acids. In other words, there are certain ones that you want more of and certain ones you probably want less of. And with the way modern diets are set up, we are completely out of whack with our amino acid intake. There are certain amino acids that are essentials, and the essentials are the ones that you cannot make internally. as most amino acids are made internally, but there are 20 standard ones that are essential ones that must be derived from food. So for instance, if you switch to a vegan diet, you'll miss out on certain amino acids like L-lysine. If you do a meat-only diet like Jordan Peterson has allegedly done, you'll be missing other amino acids that are more present in plants. So the point is, amino acids are capable of doing very important things. They're the building blocks to the proteins in your body. This website, not vetted either, folks, not vetted, but check it out. From what I read, this looks legit. So check this out. The only amino acid that I take regularly is L-lysine. And I'll just leave it there as we move on because there's still more stuff to cover. Thanks, Smash Team, for viewing the video. And here come the bonus segments, at least 3 here. Let's talk about the Zero Hedge article. Now, who saw Tulsi Gabbard on The View? Let's play a clip. Now, Tulsi Gabbard was on The View, and she was almost allowed to complete a sentence, but there was this little yapping chihuahua there known as Joy Behar saying every time she tried to complete a sentence, she got Phil Donahue'd. And let's just play a clip. It's the insufferable Joy Behar, and you'll probably find yourself wanting to slap yourself in the face while watching this. Dear viewers, please don't slap yourself in the face while watching this.
Or a useful idiot, I think was the term that you used.
So you can hear Joy not even allowing her to, like, say a whole sentence. Let's play another clip here. As I've been less than a fan of Joy in the past. She does not bring me joy. And I would also note that they decided to call this show The View, as if it's not a view. It's The View, as if this is some sort of mainstream view. And frankly, the witches on this show are largely insane.
Which basically means that I'm naive or lack intelligence to know what's going on. Use that. I want to let your viewers know exactly who I am. All right.
But that's a Russian term. That use that. Now, Joy loves to talk about subjects that she doesn't understand in any way, and she does it constantly. If you would like to send Joy a public email, check out fastnote.com. Fastnote.com specializing in sending people public emails when you don't have their contact information. What's that? You want her contact information? Well, Joy's on Twitter. Now, don't go harassing Joy, because Joy means well, and she's not just a self-serving gas bag or anything. But does she refer to herself as the great gas bag? Oh, gosh. What is going on? Wow. Please leave a comment if you've ever watched an entire episode of The View. I can barely even watch a clip of The View. Anyway, if you'd like to contact Joy Behar's booking agent and so on, just check this out at bookingagentinfo.com, and you can book her on your show. I'll just send her an email, and we can maybe do an interview with Joy about space weather. Maybe she could teach us a thing or two about astrophysics and cosmology. And let's look at a rare composite image. We usually look at the wavelengths alone. This time we're looking at, this is 211, 304, and 171 all in the same view. The SDO is going to be heavily accessed today, so don't be surprised if the server goes down or something like that. It's probably, it's entirely possible it's going to happen. Tons of people are going to watch it on here. Tons of people are going to watch it on the Soho. But the best view of all is going to be in your backyard. I wonder if Astrotes will be covering it. Astrotes.info is a good choice. And check it out. It's a pretty good view here. You can see the filaments, you can see magnetic activity, and you can see coronal holes. So it's a pretty good composite view. We don't usually view this one. But hey, it's a special day for space. Thanks for tuning in. View the Mercury transit. Look for another video later. Stare at the sun. Don't drink. Use the filters, etc. Don't drive. Please don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, may that solar wind be at your back. and that atherosclerosis absent from your veins.